नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्स।
Namo Buddhaya and welcome all to comprehensive course on Buddhism. This is week 5. This is session 1 and our topic for the day is Katanyata, respect for parents, repaying one's parents. So before we start with the session, I wanted to request Bhante Buddhadatta to please light the candles and we will pray our wish to Buddha. Bhante Buddhadatta, please Bhante.
Okay, lighted on behalf of all the participants.
Thank you very much, Bhante. And Bhante, when we are going ahead with before the start of the session, I would be making a Pramayachana and a Shilachana on behalf of all the participants. Oka savandami Bhante Varatayena Maya Kattam Sabba Paradham Kamatume Bhante Dutiyam pi Oka savandami Bhante Dwaratayena Maya Kattam Sabba Aparadham Kamatu me Bhante Tatiyam pi Oka Savandami Bhante Dwaratayena Maya Kattam Sabba Aparadham Kamatu me Bhante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much, Bhante. We will start with our session, and our teacher today is Bhante Shobhana. He is joining us from Mahabodhi Maituru. The main topic that we are continuing from last week is upholding the Dhamma in family, society, and community. And our topic for the day is Katanyuta, respect for parents, paying one's parents. Our teacher today is Ven Bhikkhu Shobhana. Bhante Shobhana, I request you now to start the session, Bhante.
Okay, so let's start.
Yes,
Namo
Bhante.
tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to Triple Gem. Homage to Bhara Bhanteji, our most respected teacher. I pay my respect to Kasapa Bhanteji. I pay my respect to Buddhadatta Bhanteji. And my metta to all the Upasak and Upasikas. So today, Dhamma topic is about Katanyuta, that is gratefulness. Katanyuta means gratefulness, and how one should be grateful to one's parents, that is our mother and father. We have got this life because of our parents, because of our mother and father. If our mother and father is not there, then we suppose not to be born, and we are supposed not to get this life. So Lord Buddha said that there are two people who had to find, there are two people who are hard to find in this world. The first one is the one who have do a kindness to us. The first one is the one who have done a kindness to us, and the other one is the person who have been grateful and thankful to the other person. So this Lord Buddha said, when we find these two person, we have to be respect and we also develop to ourselves to be like them. So why it is said that because of our parents, we got this life. In our lifetime, most of the time we have gone through, most of the people used to give us gift or present. But when we see on this, there are a lot of motivate, some expectation in return. We don't want to receive such gift that is with lot of calculation and expecting something in return. But we want the gift that is to be given with pure heart, pure mind, without expectation in return. This is only possible when one has really think about the other. When I give something or when I do something, that the other will benefit it. That is only done by our parents. Only our parents can do it without any expectation from our, in order to get something back in return. So Lord Buddha said, a person who have got wealth, who is wealthy, who is rich, though he have wealth and though he is rich, if one does not look after his mother and father, he is an outcast. It is said in the Vasala Sutta. So here we can see that since our parents have been done so much for us, we have to look them, we have to take care of them. Now it is our duty to look after them while we are very young. When we are unable to move or do anything, it is our parents who care us and who look after us. So now it is our duty to look after our parents. In one of the discourse, Lord Buddha told that while Lord Buddha, along with 500 monks, they were traveling on the highway of Savatthi. So while they were traveling on the way, they come upon piles of dry human bones. The human bones were piled up on the corner of the road. While seeing these bones, Lord Buddha went forward and he bowed down in respect to these dry bones, human bones. So while he was doing like this, Ananda Bhante was along with them. So Ananda Bhante asked him, Lord, why you are bowing down, why you are paying respect to these dry human bones? All the humans, all the devas, all the deities used to pay respect to you. They bow down at you. And why you are bowing down at these human bones, that dry human bones? Then Lord Buddha told Ananda Bhanteji, this may be the bones of our parents who have passed away. Not only in this life, in the previous life. Here what Lord Buddha means to say that we have been born in this world so many times. So during that time, it is said that it is very difficult to find a person who has not been our parents, who has not been our father, who has not been our mother, brother, sister, or relatives. So in order to show respect to our parents, Lord Buddha have bowed down to these human bones. So when it was told to Ananda Bhanteji was very much impressed and he wanted to know further. So he requests Lord Buddha to tell him the further story. So Lord Buddha told him that our parents, especially our mother, they performed 10 kinds of kindness upon us. The first one is the kindness of providing protection and care while the child is in the womb. This is the first care that the mother used to take us while we was unborn, while we are still in our mother womb. At that time, our mother used to take care of us. This is the first kindness that our mother provide us. And the second one is the kindness of bearing suffering during the birth. So while at the time of our birth, our mother, especially our mother, have to bear a lot of hardships, lots of problems. This is the second kindness that our mother have given to us. And the third one is the kindness of forgetting all the pains once the child has been born. So as we know, during the time of our birth, our mother, especially our mother, used to go a lot of pain, lot of troubles, even as if she's going to pass away. That is the how she is facing all this problem. But as after the birth of the child, when the child was born, and when she saw the child, all these pains and suffering disappeared. This is the third kindness he bestowed upon his own son, that is his son or daughters. The fourth kindness is the eating of bitterness herself and serving the sweet to the child. Here what it does means is that our mother know what is good for us, what is best for us. So as we are very young, when we cannot eat anything, we just live on feeding our mother breast. So at that time, he knows what to eat and what not to eat. If he eat bitter things or some bitter eatable things, then it may give benefit to the child. So he sacrificed the taste and he eat the bitters in order to give the sweet taste to his son or daughters. This is the kindness that he gave upon us. Then the next sixth one is the kindness of the fifth one. The fifth one is the kindness of moving the child in a dry place and he himself lying on the wet place. That means while we are very small, very young, while we cannot move ourselves, while we are lying on the bed. So at that time, all the unclean things we used to do there. We used to pass urine or the other things. So those she don't want, she have to clean it because she does all this because she loved the child too much. So he cleaned and he put the child on a dry place and he himself used to sleep on the wet place. This is the kindness she used to provide his or her son. And the sixth kindness is the providing the breast milk. Though we are unable to eat anything, he used to provide us the milk, the breast milk. Because of the sucking of this breast milk, we have been alive. If she have not provided this breast milk, we not may be able to live. So this is the another kindness that she provides us. The third kindness is the kindness of washing all the uncleans. As we are very young, when we are baby, we used to do the uncleans on her legs or on the bed or wherever it is, we without knowing, we just do it and clean it. And she have to clean all these things. This is the kindness that she used to do to the child. The next eighth kindness is the thinking of the child when he travel far. So when a child grow up and when he travels to another place in order to for his higher studies or for visiting some relatives. So unless and until the child returned back to his home, the mother used to think about him, about his well-being, about his safety, about his food and all these things. So this is the another type of kindness that mother used to give to the child. The another one is the ninth kindness is the deep care of devotion. Since the mother is the caretaker, he used to take the care of the child with deep devotion, with deep loving kindness. He don't want the child to be suffer. So this is how he used to take care of the child. And the last one is the kindness of pity and sympathy, pity and sympathy. The mother is always very much pity to the child and also very much sympathy to the child. He don't want the child to be suffered from any kinds of, just he want the child to be happy and live very joyfully. So these are the 10 types of kindness that our mother, especially our mother, uh, give to the child. So in the Mangala Sutta, Lord Buddha said that one should pay respect to the mother and father. So as by knowing or contemplating about all these things, we have to pay respect to our parents, especially our mothers and father who have been taking care for us while we are very young, while we cannot do anything, while we are just lying down on the bed. At that time, they used to take care of us. So now, as we are grown up, it is our moral duty, moral responsibility to look after our parents when they are unable, when they are getting old. Sometimes we may think we are very much tired or we may very much busy. So we have no time to look after the parents, to take care of them. So we should not think like this. While we are very young, while very small, we cannot do anything. At that time, our parents never think about us like this. Though they are very tired, though they are very busy, they never neglect us. They used to take care of us in all the manners, all the way they can. They never leave us alone. So because of this reason, by remembering all these things, one have to take care of the parents. If we don't look after the parents, then it is not a wise decision. It is not a wise way. We have to look after the parents since they provide us all the things. So in one of the discourse in Sigala Vada Sutta, Lord Buddha told a young Brahmin. This young Brahmin was used to wake up early in the morning. He used to dip in the water while still he was wet with all his hair, clothes. He used to come out from the waters and he used to worship the 6 directions: the east, west, north, south, up and bottom direction. Down, I mean to say the downwards. So while he was doing like this, Lord Buddha saw him one day and he asked him, why you are worshipping the 6 direction? So this young Brahmin told him that it was the last wish of his father while his father was about to pass away. So he told this young Brahmin to pay respect to 6 directions. In order to pay respect to his father, the last wish of his father, he was paying respect to these 6 directions. So Lord Buddha told him that the paying the 6 directions according to the dispensation of the Buddha is not the correct way. Paying the 6 directions means the paying to the 6 people. So Lord Buddha told like this, this Brahmin was very eager to learn the 6 directions and the 6 people. So he requests the blessed one to teach him. So the blessed one told him, East denotes the parents. The east direction denotes the parents. That means our mother and father. And the west denotes the wives, children, including their sons and daughters. And the south denotes the teachers. The south direction denotes the teachers. And the north direction denotes the friends. And the bottom direction denotes the servant or the workers at home. And the top direction denotes the monks, nuns, or the ascetic. So when this was told to this young Brahmin, the Brahmin was very much thankful and he paid respect to the Buddha. So here what we see that the Lord Buddha has given the topmost priority, topmost position to our parents. So we are telling that we have to see the things, how the parents are taking care of us. So we have to look after them. So here in this sutta, Lord Buddha have told them that there are some duties of the parents and also for the children. the first duties of the parents is to take care of them, to provide them with food while they were very young. And also while they grown up, they have to give them proper education in order to survive in this society, in this world. They have to give them the proper education. And also they have to teach them what is wrong and what is right in order to live a happy life. And also the duties of the parents is to matchmaking to their child. That means arrange marriage for their son and daughter at the proper time. And also to hand over the inheritance, the property to their son and daughter at the right time. These are the 5 duties of the parents to be done toward the children. And also the 5 duties about the children to be performed. Since the parents are getting old now, it is our duty to look after them and to take care of them, provide them with food, shelter, clothes, and medicines. And the second duty is to provide them with all the things like taking care of them, giving bath, giving massage, if they are unable to do their work, to help them in their work. And the third duty of the son is to he himself have to be qualified in order to take the responsibilities of the family, in order to take the inheritance. And also the fifth one is to keep the family name and tradition. And the last one is to share the merits when our parents pass away. These are the 5 duties of the children. Since our parents have already performed their duties, now it is our duties to look after them. So when we do like this, we get benefit. Not only we, our parents also, when they are alive, it is our chance to be serve them. Since they are with us, we can serve them. Otherwise, if they pass away, though we want to take care or look after them, it is not possible. So it is now our duty to look after them, to take care of them, and to look after them. So this is how we have to look after our parents, and this is how we have to pay respect to the parents. And Lord Buddha told that he told that our parents are the best friend. He gave the priority to our parents, and he gave the 3 definition. That is the Brahma, the second one is Puba Acharya, the third one is Ahunya. Here, Lord Buddha told that our parents are the Brahma. Why? Because during the time of Lord Buddha, the people used to believe that we are born from the Brahma. So at that time, people used to worship, do sacrifice in the name of this Brahma, the unseen Brahma. But Lord Buddha tell us that this Brahma are no other than our mother and father who are at home with us. So we have to pay respect to them. So here why he told the definition of Brahma, because the Brahma used to develop the 4 qualities, the qualities of Metta, Karuna, Mudita, and Upekha. These are the 4 qualities that the Brahma has. And Lord Buddha compared our parents with the Brahma. These 4 qualities are also with our parents. Our parents have Metta, our parents have Karuna, our parents have Mudita, and also Upekha. These are the 4 qualities that our parents are having. So let us see how it is with an example. Suppose in a family there were 4 children. The first child is in the mother wombs. When the child is in the mother's womb, the mother used to take care of the child with a lot of metta, that is loving kindness. she have the loving kindness towards the unborn child. So he is looking after the child, taking care of the child. So this is how the metta is, loving kindness. Take an example about the second child. The second child is a girl who have born due to some reason the child is unable to walk. So every time the mother used to, or the parents, mother and father used to think about the second child who is unable to walk. This is called compassion. Because of the compassion, they are trying all their best in order to make her walk or to make her cured from this suffering. So this is compassion. Out of compassion, they are taking care of this, the second child. And the third child is about the boy who have been grown up, who is very much intelligent, who is good in studies. So while thinking about this child, the parents are enjoying joy. The parents feel joy by seeing the child is performing well in his school and also in other activities. And the fourth one is a girl who has been married and lives separately with her husband. Now here the husband is a gentle fellow who is to take care of his wife. So while he think about this, while the parents think about this daughter, the parents will have the mudita, equanimity. So this is how Lord Buddha has given the Brahma, the qualities of the Brahma to our parents. Because of these four qualities, metta, karuna, upekha, and mudita. Because of these four qualities are there with our parents, so Lord Buddha gave the qualities of this Brahma to the parents. The next one is the Pubba Acharya. Pubba Acharya means the pre-teacher. So our parents, our mother and father are the pre-teachers. Before going for our formal education, these parents, our mother and father used to teach us at home how to talk, how to speak, how to eat, how to sleep, and also about how to brush our teeth, how to comb, and how to communicate. So because of this, the basic thing that were taught in the home by the parents, our mother and father, so they are called a Pubba Acharya, pre-teacher. Then third one is Ahunya. This Ahunya word is specially used for the Holy Sangha. When we recite the quality of the Sangha, there we get this Ahunya, Bahunya, Dakhinya, Anjali Karani. Here, Ahunya means the worthy of offering. So our parents are worthy to receive offering, since they have been sacrificed their lives so much for us. And also Lord Buddha have given them on a top priority. So yeah, our parents are worthy to receive the offering. So we have to offer our parents. Offer not only means the material things in a special way, that is, we have to offer them to be good, to be in the right path, to be progress on the part of Dhamma, so that they can keep on progressing and they will be free from all kinds of suffering. This is how we have to do the offering to our parents. So these are the three respect that our Lord Buddha has given to the parents. So in order to develop these qualities, we have to be with our good friends. If we don't have with the good friends, then it is not possible for us to perform our duties as towards our parents. So in order to perform the good duties towards our parents, we have to associate with the good friends. And the Lord Buddha said that if we don't look after the parents, if we don't take care of the parents, some people may be thinking we are suffering in this world because our parents have give birth to us. If they don't give birth to us, we may not come in this world. And if we don't come in this world, we know we may not be faced the suffering. This is really a very sad way of thinking. In place of thinking in a negative way, we have to think in a positive way. The good things they have done to us. When we think about the good things, then only the positive thoughts come to us, and then only we will able to be grateful towards our parents. If we think the negative ways, don't take care of our parents, our mother and father, Lord Buddha said, for this type of person, there is only two destiny. That is, one have to be born in the animal world, or the another is to be born in the hell. So nobody wants to be in the woeful state. Everybody wants to be in a. So as a duty, moral duty as a son and daughters, we have to look after the parents. So in order to develop these qualities, good qualities, the first thing what we have to do is we have to think to do good things. We have to think to do good things to our parents. We have to do them good. We have to look after them, feed them, taking care of them. Whenever they are necessary, we should be always present with them. And the second is we have to talk to do something good. That means always we have to talk to do something good. When we speak about the good things, speak with others, we'll go toward the good things. Try to do good things. This is how, while we speak good things, we can develop it and we can able to do the good. Also, we have to do good. We have to, when we do good, then only the good things will come to us. So when we do this, when the good things come to us, we will able to do the good to the parents. We can respect and support our parents. When the good things or the good thoughts, then only we can do the good things. Then we can respect our parents. We have to, we have to respect our elders, and also we have to support them. When we support and respect our elders, our mind becomes joyful. And when our mind becomes joyful, all the negative thoughts will go away. And we should speak pleasant word to our parents. Sometimes our parents may be very harsh. They may be shouting us, or they may be commanding us, or giving orders to do this and that. Still then, we should not be angry towards them, but we have to speak good words to them, kind words towards them. And as a good son and daughters, we should not do backbiting. That means we should not speak bad things about our parents. We should be always speak good to them. This is how we can develop the qualities of goodness within us. When we develop these qualities within us, we may not think negative. Just now we have told that because of our parents only we are born in this world, because of them only we are getting suffered. If we thought in a positive way, just now we have discussed about all this, when we develop and do all these things, the negative thoughts will go away and the kindness will arise in us, and we can take care and look after our parents very easily. So duty of a son and a Buddha told that in one of the discourse, Lord Buddha told that if we carry our parents on our shoulder for 100 years, and we feed them there on the shoulder itself with good food, we give them good clothes, we give them massage to the body, leg, or even if they pass urine and all the unclean on our soldiers, still then we cannot pay the debt that we want to our parents. Or even if we make our parents the king or the monarchs of the universe, still then it is not possible for us to pay the debts of our parents. It is very much difficult to pay the debts of our parents. The parents have been done to us. So Lord Buddha said, we can pay the debt of our parents when we make them to develop in generosity. And when we make them in morality, generosity, loving kindness, and toward faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. When we make them to develop these four things, then only we can pay back the debt to our parents. What I mean to say is that when we make them to believe in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, when we make them, establish them in the morality, the sila, then we can pay the debt to our parents. And when they are not able to perform any dana, that means offering, we have to make them to do this offering. When this offering is done, their greediness or stinginess will go away. And we have to make them to develop their mind by practicing meditation. When we make them to practice the meditation, they will know the real nature of the life and their mind will develop. And when their mind will develop, they will become wisdom. And when they become wisdom, they know the things as it is. So by making them to understand that these four things, we can pay back the debt that we have owed to our parents. So one time, Lord Buddha was staying in the monastery, Jetavana monastery. At that time, a deva appeared in the midnight. And he asked the Lord Buddha, four questions he have asked the Lord Buddha. What are the friends? The first question is, what is the friends of one in a journey? What is the friends? What is the friends of one's on a journey? The second one is, what is the friends on one's own home? The third question is, what is the friends of one in need? The fourth question is, what is the friends in the future life? These are the four questions that the Deva appeared in the Jetavana monastery in front of the Lord Buddha, and he asked the Lord Buddha. Then the Lord Buddha said that as a leader is the friends in one's own journey. That means a leader who is leading us in a journey, he is the best friend. And the mother is the best friend in our own home. In our own home, the mother is the best friend. And the third one is the intimate. When the need arises, the parents is the best friend. The intimate, that means the things that is needed at the time of need is the best friend. And the merits that we have acquired in this life is the best friend for our journey in the future. That means in the next life. When this was said, here what it means to say is that the leader is the best friend in the journey. If there is no good leaders, sorry. So when there is no good leaders who can lead us in a nice way or in a good way, so it is not possible for us to lead or not possible for us to reach in our destiny. So the leader is the best friend in our journey. And the mother is the best friend in our home. Here we see the mother, again it is coming, the mother is the best friend because the mother knows what we need while we are very young. And as we need, she used to provide us. So these are the qualities that the Lord Buddha have told about our mother and father. The mother is the best friend for us at home. So while we are very young, the mother teaches us what is good and what is bad, what to do and what not to do, why we have to live a good life, and why we have to avoid all the evils. Since she have taught us all these things, this is regarding us the best friend at home. So knowing this, if our parents are not in a morality, we have to develop them in morality. If they are not in charity, donation, giving donation, we have to develop their mind in order to give donation, so that this donation will bring merits and happiness for their next life. So with this, let us understand the significance of respecting our parents and supporting our parents. So whatever merits we have acquired by listening the Dhamma talk, by offering our prayers, by taking the precept, by practicing meditation, all did come to our parents, and may our parents be free from sufferings, and may they keep on progressing on the path of Dhamma, and may they be liberated. With this, I conclude the small talks. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thanks very much, Bante, for the talk. Bante, we're gonna open up the session for question and answer. Bante, do I have your permission, Bante?
Yes, please continue.
Participants, we have opened up the session for question and answer. You can put in the question in the chat window. Bante, the first question is, can you repeat the things you said related to establishing or repaying the parents when they are not following Sheila? What are the things we need to do?
Okay, it's a very nice question. We can see that some of our parents are not established in the Sila. First of all, to make them established in the Sila, we ourselves should be in the Sila. We ourselves have to follow the precepts, especially the 5 precepts: non-killing, non-stealing, non-sexual misconduct, not telling lie, and one should avoid from taking the intoxicated drinks. When first we have to develop it, and when we develop it, then only we can tell our parents. Without developing ourselves, we cannot tell our parents to develop it. And also we have to tell the importance of the Sila. What is the importance of the Sila, and why one should keep the Sila, why one should keep the precept? Since while we explain them about the details of this, especially the 5 precepts, they may understood it, why the killing is not good. When one understands the killing is not good, since the life is dear to us, life is dear to us, so also the life dear to others. While knowing this and explaining our parents, they too will understand that the life, as our life is dear to us, the other beings' life is also dear to them. So one should not kill. And the second Sila is that one should not take other belongings. Since we know if somebody took our belongings, we feel very hard. So also, if we take other belongings, other people will feel hard. So we have to tell our parents how you will feel if somebody took your belongings. You won't feel nice, you will feel hard. So also one should not take other things. And the third one is one should live a pure life. One should not commit all these other traits. Since we know, especially our sisters are in the guidance or under the protection of our parents, about their brothers. So when somebody is under the protection, and if we do something, the other will get hurt. So knowing this, one should not hurt them. The fourth precept is one should not tell lie. When we keep on telling lie, other will not trust us, other will not believe us. So we have to make them understand that telling lie is not good. And also the fifth precept is one should not take any intoxicated drinks. When one take the intoxicated drinks, our mind is not pure. We cannot see what is good and bad. Our mind is becoming dull. So in order to prevent all these bad deeds, bad things, we have to explain our parents, then only they can understand it. And I am sure when they understood it, they will establish themselves in the morality.
Thank you very much, Bhante. Bhante, the next question is, what are the duties that are told for the daughter? So,
What are the duties for the daughter, sister?
yeah, of the daughter, right, for the parent. I guess.
So yeah,
Yeah, I think this question is more like after her marriage, maybe what are the duties she has towards the parent?
okay. So here we can see, according to the Buddhist tradition, there is no differentiate between son and daughter. Son and daughters are equal. So here, as the duty of a son, it is also the duties of a daughter to look after her parents, her father and mother. Of course, it is not possible to live together after the marriage. The daughter have to stay away from her parents, and she have to live with her husband and in-laws. Still then, as a daughter, he can or she can take care of the parents. Physically, she may be not present. Mentally or in a financial way, she can support the parents, like providing food, providing shelters, providing medicines, and whenever she have time, she can visit and take care of the parents. This is how the daughter can give service to her parents. Apart from this, when our parents pass away, the daughter can share the merits to her parents. This is how a daughter can perform his duties towards his parents.
Okay. Bhante, this next question is, if our parents are putting us to do dishonest things, they are putting us on a path to not be a good person, or they themselves were violent, physically or emotionally violent towards our bring up, or at least that's how the child received it. What should we do to pay our parents back? If we are honoring, if we are respecting our parents' wish that if they are putting us on a bad path, let's assume here case here that they are asking us to do stealing, then do we become bad people by listening to our parents? How should we handle this situation? Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah, it is really a very nice question. Of course, there are some people who think that because of our parents, we are suffering. And also there are some, especially we can say very few parents are there who are immoral. Only very few people are there, very few parents are there. They used to tell the parents to do some immoral act. So while these parents used to tell or advise their son to do this immoral act, first of all, the son should think what the parents have been telling is really good or not. And after that, while contemplating that, the son will realize it is actually not a good way to do or good things to do. And apart from this, the son should be associated with the good friends who are good, who are moral. When we associate it, as in the Mangala Sutta, one should not associate it with the fool, but one should associate with the wise. So the son should try to associate with the wise people, intellectual people. When he associated with the wise people, every time the wise people will say the good things. So listening every time the good things, automatically one day or the other, these negative thoughts will go away and the positive thoughts will come in the mind of the son. When the positive thoughts come in the mind of the son, then the son realizes what his or her parents are telling is not the right way. This is not the good things. When he realizes it, then he can tell the parents that what you are advising or what you are doing is not the right way. Of course, it is not easy to convince them in a day or in a two, but it may take time. We have to keep on effort in order to make them or to bring them back to the right path. We have to keep on trying. And also, if possible, we have to take them especially to the temples or religious place where they can hear some religious talk, Dhamma talk. When they listen to the Dhamma talk, one day or the other, their mind may change. And one day, our parents will come back to the right path. And the next question is how we can pay back to our immoral parents. We can pay back our immoral parents by bringing back to the right path, to the sila, to the morality way. When we are able to bring them back to the parents in a right path, in this way we can pay back. Otherwise, if we do something good, these good things for them is also not in waste. It will come to them and also it will come back to us itself. In this way, if we keep on trying and if we keep on repeating the good things again and again, one or the other time, it may come and the parents will come back in their right way.
Okay. Bhante, this question is sometimes there is fight between the parents and they teach their kids saying like your father or your mother is not a good person, they have this fault, that fault, and that might develop a negative feelings in kids towards one of the parents. What do we do in such situations?
Yes, it is almost nowadays we can see in the society, this is one of the great problems the society is facing. Quarreling with our own parents and the son or the daughters used to stay separately. There are people who used to say at the back that like our parents is not good, he's immoral, he's doing that or that. So when this is told to the children, to the child, actually it is not a good way to tell or to blame the parents. Then we have to contemplate the parents have done something good in the past. When we contemplate and when we remember the good things they have done to us, since in the discourse we have been discussed about the parents, how they have been taking care of us while we are very young, when we are unable to move from one place to another, while we are lying on one bed. At that time, the parents can abandon us. If they abandon us, if they don't take care of us, we may not be able to survive. We may be die. Not only that, the parents are taking care of us day and night. They are sacrificing so much for us. They never say no to us whenever we ask or whatever we ask while we are young. They used to try to provide us. our parents are working day and night in order to make us happy, in order to make us good, or in order to make us live a happy life in future. So while we contemplate all these things about our parents, the sacrifice, the kindness, the generosity they have done to us, then the thought of the negative thoughts about our parents, it will go away. So we have to keep sometimes, take sometimes when somebody tell negative about our parents, or sometimes because of the misunderstanding we may quarrel with our parents, then we have to contemplate the deeds they have done to us while we are young. When we contemplate the good things they have done to us, the negative thoughts will go away, and the kindness will arise in our mind towards our parents. The love will increase towards, and we can pay respect to them, and we can live harmoniously with our parents.
Thank you very much, Bhante. Bhante, this one is how to prepare ourselves for the passing away of our parents in near future.
Sorry, please, you can repeat once.
Yes, Bhante. So how to prepare for the passing away of our parents in near future? So the parents are not dead yet, but they are sort of sick now and about to die. How do we prepare ourselves for that situation?
Okay. So here we can see, as an opportunity we have to take. Well, our parents are alive. Well, our parents are alive. We have to take an opportunity to serve them, to look after them, to take care of them. So if we neglect them, if we don't take care of them, after passing away, it is not possible to take care of them. And as our parents are getting older and older day by day, one day or the others, everybody have to pass away. So before passing away, we have to establish them in the morality. We have to establish them in the generosity. We have to establish them in the pioneer. For that, we have to give them some Dhamma talks. Of course, if the son is not possible to teach them, we can invite sometimes the monks or some religious teachers so that they can give them the Dhamma talk. When they listen to the Dhamma talk, their mind become cool, calm down. They understood the Dhamma. And also we have to make them to meditate. When we make our parents to meditate, one day or the others, as the time pass on, they may be concentrate in their mind, or they may develop their mind. When they develop their mind, the mind become very strong. With this strong mind, while they are about to pass away, actually when a person is about to pass away, at that time, their mind is very weak. They are unable to think what is good, what is bad. Since we have been practicing meditation and our mind is becoming strong, since with this strong mind, we can remember the good things. If she is unable to remember, or if he is unable to remember the good things, the good deeds we have done in the past, as a responsibility of our, as a son and a daughter, we should try to recollect the good deeds he or she have done in the past. When we try to recollect, when we tell them the good deeds he have done in the past, at least for a few moments he can contemplate it, or otherwise we can do the chanting, the suttas, then he can listen it. And when he listen with this peaceful mind, he may pass away very easily, very peacefully. When with this peaceful mind, with this happy mind, he pass away, it is sure that he will or she will be born in a good place. If it is already our parents has been passed away, now our parents are not with us, so it is not possible for us to serve them physically, then we can do the marriage sharing program. Just whatever marriage we have done, this marriage sharing, this tradition has come from the Lord Buddha time itself. As all of you, I think you are aware of the King Bimbisara. When this King Bimbisara was offering the Velovana monastery, so after the offering of this monastery, King Bimbisara went back to his kingdom in his palace, and he was sleeping. At the night, he was not able to sleep because of the spirit, the evil spirit, the ghosts he had been seeing in his dreams. These ghosts were actually his former relatives. Because of their some past unwholesome deeds, they have been born as an preta, as an hungry ghost. So they were showing him in his dreams. Because of these bad dreams, this King Bimbisara was unable to sleep. So early morning he rise up and he went to the blessed one, and he told the dreams, wow, he had seen in the dreams, and why it is and why he was unable to sleep. So Lord Buddha told him that after offering this Velovana monastery, you have not shared the merits. Since you have not sharing the merits, this evil spirit or the pretas were waiting for the merits to be shared to them. So since this king did not share the merits to them, so they did not get the merits. They were still in a miserable condition. That's why Lord Buddha told him to perform one more meritorious action, like giving donation, offering to the monks, lunch, all these things. After that, they share the merits. After the sharing the merits, these spirit got it, and they were free from the suffering. So this is how the tradition of sharing merits came to us from the time of Buddha till now. So we don't know, after the passing away of our parents, our relatives, where they are born. Since we don't know, we can share our merits. When we share the merits, these merits will help them to come out from the suffering. If they were in a suffering or in a woeful state, it will help them to come up. And if they are in a good state, in a good plane of existence, it will help them to live longer there. This is how we can pay our parents.
Thank you very much, Bhante. Bhante, this next question is related to becoming a monk or a nun. If a person, a son or a daughter becomes a monk or nun, and that is painful for the parent, what should be done in this situation?
Yeah, this is really sometimes the parents want their son to be with them every time. They don't want their son or parents to become a monk. So here, this was not only now, even at the time of the Lord Buddha, there was a person who wants to become a monk. So he was asking the permission from his parents, from his mother and father, to ordain as a monk. Since he was the only son of the parents, so the parents were not allowing him to be ordained as a monk or as a nun. So this son was very much wished to become a monk. So he told his parents, unless and until you allowed me to ordain as a monk, I am not going to eat anything. I am going to starve till death. So like this, he was insisting his parents to ordain him as a monk. But since he was the only son of his parents, the parents were not allowing him. So now the son has been gave up everything, no food, no water, nothing. He was just in a fasting. So one his friends, his son friends came to his parents and requested him, let him ordain as a monk. At least if he ordain as a monk, you can see the son If see your son, if you are not allowing him to ordain as a monk, if he keep on starving like this, one day or the other he will pass away. So the parents thought it is a wise decision. At least we can give him permission to give ordain as a monk so that he may live alive and we may see him. This was in the time of Buddha, and parents gave him permission to ordain as a monk. Now here in this situation, of course, most of the parents are not allowing or not want their son or daughters to be ordained as a monks or a nuns. It is because they think that if my son or my daughter ordained as a monk or as an nun, it is not possible to take care of us when we are getting old. It is not possible to be staying with us and to take care of us. This is the thought that arises in our parents. Because of that reason, they're not allowing their sons to ordain as a monk or as a nun. But Lord Buddha told that as a monk or as a nun, one can look after the parents, one can take care of the parents. So during the time of the Lord Buddha, there was a monk who used to take care of his parents. Since he was the only son, nobody was there to take care or look after his father and mother. So he used to go for alms round, and he used to collect food for himself and also for his parents. So after returning from the alms round, he used to feed his parents. He used to offer the food to his parents, and the rest remaining he used to eat. So this was reported to the Lord Buddha. So Lord Buddha asked the monk first, looking after his parents, and the monk told him, yes, it is true that I used to take care of my parents. I used to offer them foods.
Yeah, the next questions you can just read, I will answer. If,
Yes, Bhante. The next question is, how does one pay merit or share merits with the dead parents? Parents are no more there. How does one share the merits with them?
yeah, in merit sharing is very important meritorious deeds, which was told by the Buddha himself. As Bhante was also explaining during the time of Lord Buddha, how this merit sharing ceremony had started during the Buddha's time. You see, now the merit sharing, how it should be done by cultivating, by doing some Dhamma activities, meaningful activities, by offering dana, by following the Sila, at least the Panchashila or the Sila for the lay people, and also by practicing bhavana, meditation. We gain merits. And those meritorious things, merits which is, it is called merit because that which purifies our mind, that is called punya. So punya is a kind of mental action, manokama. By remembering the virtues and goodness of our parents or relatives, those who already passed on, we share the merits. So we say, idang no nyatinam hotu sukitaham punyadayo, and this punya reach to our departed relatives. See? So by pouring the water, according to, as per the Buddhist customs, by pouring the water, we do share the merits with the departed ones. So it is as if when the water pours from the high mountains and it just recedes and falls down. Similarly, the punya, when we share with our parents, inevitably it reaches to them. And it also improves their quality of life. Wherever they are born, they will definitely receive it. That's the way we should actually pay our gratitude to our departed people or relatives.
Thank you, Bante. Bante, the next question is, if we have a relative who has mental issues, giving dana or psychological problems, giving dana to Sangha and sharing merits when you do that dana with him, will that provide relief? Will that support the person for a good life in next life, or will that be helpful thing for him, for the psychologically disabled or mentally ill person?
Yeah, you see, the question was about the psychologically
Psychologically disturbed or mentally ill person. So we have somebody in the family like that, and if we give donation, dana, sangha dana, and we share merits in his name, or we share merits for him, or we share merits to him, will that be helpful for him?
Yeah, it will certainly help them, but it's not a kind of that like somebody is sick and we give them medicines and they suddenly get cured. It also depends on that person's receptive capacity. That also the person needs to have that punya or parami by himself to receive that. But having said that, there are even some instances when after performing these meditative deeds, they get instant result. Even now also, and during Buddha's times also, it had happened that when the upasakas or upasikas, they invite the Bantes and they listen the chantings and they offer dana and cultivate merit. And by that punya, those who are sick, they got cured in many occasions. And those supposed to have short lifespan, they got longer lifespan. And those who are departed and they got a good birth. Yes, there is the efficacy of punya exists. So the power of punya actually works. So there is no doubt about it. So it is possible that when we share merits with a psychologically disabled persons, they get surely helps. At least they get the mental peace of mind. Definitely.
Thank you, Bante. Bante, we see Bante Shobana is back. So we will continue with the question that Bante was answering. Bante Shobana, you were answering about if one becomes a bhikkhu or a monk or a nun, how do they take care of their parents? So please continue, Bante. Bante, please continue. You were telling a story of a monk who was taking care of the parents, and that incident was reported to Buddha. And Buddha asked the bhikkhu what he was doing. Please continue, Bante.
During the time of Lord Buddha, there was a monk. He used to go for alms rounds, and after collecting the alms round, he used to feed his parents. So this was done for a few days. So at the time, the other monk saw it and it reported to the blessed one, the Lord Buddha. So when it was reported to the Lord Buddha called the monks and he asked, "It is true that you are feeding your parents after collecting their alms food?" Then the monk admitted, "Yes, Lord, I have done this. I have been feeding my parents." So when it was told in front of the Lord Buddha appreciate him. Yes, it is a good way that you have support your parents. So also we can see during this Varsaman, a monk who take this 3 months rain retreat supposed to be in a one monastery where he had been living. So during this 3 months, he should not go to other place. But as for the parents, when the parents are sick or the parents want to listen to Dhamma talk, or for any punya karma, the monk can leave the monastery and go to his parents to preach Dhamma, or for any donation like generosity, they want to offer something, he can visit it. But within the 6 nights, he have to come back to the monastery.
This is how we as a monk also, we can take care of our parents. We can look after our parents. And also as a monk used to live a good life with uh, what to say this, with a morality life. So this, when he lived with this moral life, practicing meditation, learning the Dhamma, all these are punya kama. These punya kama also come to his parents. This is how, as a monk also, we can take care and look after our parents.
Thank you, Bante. Bante, the next question is for daughter-in-law and mother-in-law. What should be their relationship between a daughter-in-law and mother-in-law, and how should a daughter-in-law care for the parents-in-law or the in-laws?
So, as mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, especially in this modern world, it is almost not an what to call matching. Every time or the other, they used to say this or that about one another. So this was not only here, even during the time of the Lord Buddha, it was happening. We can see the great benefactor, the female disciple of the Lord Buddha, Visakha. At that time also, actually, this was not his mother-in-law, but with his father-in-law, there was a misunderstanding was taking place. And also, in the house of Ananda Pindika, the main supporter, the main supporter of the Lord Buddha, his son was getting married. So after the marriage, uh, his daughter-in-law was not behaving properly at his house. So since this Anand Pindika uh, invite Lord Buddha to his house for alms, for the offerings, when Lord Buddha visited Ananda Pindika house, so her daughter-in-law was making lot of noise and disturbance in her house. This is because of the misunderstanding between the in-laws, and I mean to say the daughter-in-laws and the mother or father-in-laws. Because of this, it is happening place. Actually, if you see through this, now the daughter or the, have been married and he have been settled down in her husband house. Now this mother-in-laws or in-laws are like his own home. She have to be take care of his in-laws. She have to be looked after the in-laws because most of the time, the remaining of her life, she should be in his in-laws. Of course, some in-laws sometimes there may be some misunderstanding, some up and downs, but still then he should know, she should know, this is not the way to handle with our in-laws. If the in-law says something and the daughter-in-law is to respond in a negative way and if we shout back at that, then surely there will be no harmony among each other. One or the other have to be calmed down, one have to be in a normal state, and one should be the patience to listen what the in-laws told her. And if there is understanding between this daughter and in-laws, surely there will be harmony. So here I can say that only the mother-in-law or the daughter-in-law is not the responsible. It is also the responsible of the husband to make her understand the situation, because the situation of her daughter-in-law is not like in her own homes when the mother is taking care of her. Now, since she has been in his in-laws' house, it is her responsibility to look after them, to listen to them, and to pay respect to them. And also as an in-laws duty, since now she had become her daughter-in-law, it is her duties, in-laws duties to take care, to look after them and treat him in a good way. If they keep on taking care of each other, I'm sure there will be no quarrel, no disharmony among them in the family. This is how we can take live harmoniously between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law.
Thank you very much, Bante. Bante, we are running out of time here. I will take this last question. Bante, sometimes the children are living away, far away from the parents. They are working in different countries, different cities. In this situation, Bante, how can they take care of their parents?
Yeah, especially we can see nowadays in this modern situation, most of the children, they used to stay separately from the parents because of their career or because of their job or because of their studies or some other way they used to stay far away from their own parents. So here, we may not be physically with them, with our parents, but still then we can take care of them. Suppose if the parents have not a proper place to live, as the son is doing some business or some good service, he or she can provide them a good shelter to live. And if they have no good food, or then the son or the daughters can provide it with good food, good place, good clothes to live. In this way, one can take care of the parents while they are away from their parents. And also, since they are away from the parents, nowadays in this uh, modern world, we can speak to them, take message, or we can ask them how they are. We can give a call and query them. When we remember them, we speak to them, they feel very comfortable. They feel that though we are away from our parents, we are near to them and they feel joyful and happiness. In this way, we can take care of our parents.
Thank you very much, Bante. Bante, before taking the session for the conclusion today, I would want to request for Ashirwad Gatha or something for all the parents, all the participants for the merit sharing, Bante.
Okay, we'll give blessing. Banteji?
Yes, Venerable.
Okay, we'll give blessing, Bante. Sabetiyo vibhajantu sabrogo vinasato mate bhavatu antarayo sukhi dirghayuko bhava bhavatu sabba mangal
Devata Sabbabuddhanubhavena Sada Sutti Bhavanti Bhavatu Sabbamangala Rakhantu Sabba
sabba dhammanubhavena sada sote bhavantu te bhavatu sabba mangal rakhantu
Sabba Sanghanubhavena Sada Sutti Bhavanti Abhivadana Silesa Nichang Pachayino Chattaro Dhamma Vadanti Ayuno Ayurarogya Sampatti Sagga Sampatti Vivacha Adho Nibbana Sampatti
Nate sabe jatu sadhu sadhu